All right, Prime Minister Modi touched down in Ghana's capital city, Accra, for his first ever visit as well as the first by an Indian Prime Minister in 30 years. This kicks off for the first leg of his historic five-nation visit, and the Prime Minister received a stunning welcome in the country as he was awarded a ceremonial welcome accompanied by a 21-gun salute as he accompanied the Ghana President John Mahama. In a warm display, the Indian Diaspora also came out in large numbers to greet the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Modi's two-day visit marks a significant diplomatic milestone in India's outreach to Africa, poised to recalibrate bilateral relations that have spanned over 7 decades. As a mark of the enduring partnership, Prime Minister Modi was also awarded with the Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana, Ghana's highest civilian award, which he accepted on behalf of 1.4 billion Indians. India and Ghana have also signed 4 key MoUs in areas of culture, business, medicine, bilateral relations amidst this historic visit. Mr. Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, is with us on the broadcast. Pathikrit Pine, geopolitical expert, also joins us on the show. Mr. Akash Jindal, senior economist, with us on the platform as well. Mr. Jindal, what is your opinion on India's relationship with a number of these African countries? Let's also look at the G20, where India was predominantly responsible for breaking through and getting the African Union into this credible mold.
Yeah, Vineet, I think our relations with all these countries are very well because, as you have rightly pointed out, in G20, it was India who took initiative. And again, now we can see the sort of relationship we are having. Our Prime Minister Modi has been awarded the highest civilian honor there. So we can see how strong are the relations, how strong are the ties. And I think to economy also, this is going to suit like anything. There's going to be lot economic benefit also because cultural ties, ultimately bilateral relations, global relations, they ultimately help in building economic ties. And that's what Prime Minister Modi has proved already. He has visited many countries in his career, and with almost all countries, I have data that we are doing lots and lots of business. That's why even during current global slowdown, where the major economies of the world are displaying negative GDP growth, India has displayed a GDP growth of 7.4%. I'm talking for January to March 2025. If you compare us with Japan, during this period, comparable period, January to March 2025, Japan has exhibited minus 0.2% GDP growth. Germany, third biggest economy, Europe's biggest economy, the economy which is still bigger than us, October to December 2024, they have displayed GDP growth of again minus 0.2%. UK, October and September 2024, minus 0.1%, and India at 7.4%. So the sort of global relation we are having, the sort of global business we are having, the sort of FDI we are having. Of course, Ghana, we can't look towards Ghana for FDI, but in past 10 years, we have built a record in FDI also. So I think Prime Minister's visit to Ghana would, and all other 5 countries, would mean a lot for our economy, for our business, for our growth, and that also in particularly in these days of global slowdown and geopolitical contests and geopolitical ties, the way they have happened, the way geopolitical relations have been severed in many countries, in many areas. India building bilateral relations, bilateral ties, I think it's a very good thing. And particularly, if you have observed, countries like China, they have been into multilateral pacts, multilateral treaties. India has always focused primarily on bilateral deals, bilateral treaties, which definitely are much more fruitful. Because in bilateral deal, all both the countries can see other countries' strengths, synergies. So bilateral deals are much more practical, much more result oriented. So I think the Ghana visit is something which definitely would add not only to our cultural ties, not only our bilateral ties, but our economic ties also, the way India has been going. See, in these days of global slowdown, another feather in India's cap, GST collection, which India has. I mean, in terms of economic terms, I'm just comparing us with other countries. 22 lakh crore of GST collection in 2024-25. This is again a record This is again a huge achievement because GST, when it was introduced in 2017, there was a lot of skepticism. Now it's not Akashindal.in. Global experts are saying that in India's growth in the past 2 years, 4 years, or rather 7 years, GST has played a vital role. So I think strengthening global relationships, strengthening ties, that also in these days of geopolitical stress, I would say, geopolitical severe relations, which we are seeing throughout the world. Then, of course, tariffs, which we have seen how tariffs have played out. I think it's a great effort, and it's a great result oriented effort. Plus, if you talk about other four countries and the BRICS summit, I think India now, today, we are being envied, as we can see from certain other countries who are now saying that we won't attend the BRICS summit because of one reason or other. Because now India is achieving, India is growing, India is strengthening bilateral ties. And not only that, US also, India is going to sign a bilateral trade deal quite soon, where we are expected to extend our trade with them up to 500 billion US dollars by 2030. So I think it's another feather in prime ministers. I mean, achievement list of achievements, and definitely for the country. And you have very rightly said this honor is not only for our honorable prime minister. This is an honor for 140 million Indians. So I totally endorse what you have said.
And Gautam, India has always been an advocate for the global south. And of course, we are walking that talk.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. Ghana is been with India right from the non-aligned movement and the days of Nehru, and now with the G20 and the G21, with the entire African Union that has been included, over 50 countries. India is a most favored nation, as the very warm welcome he received in Ghana shows. Right now, our trade is only at 3 billion, but I think this should rise exponentially. And there are a lot of training and technology transfers and so on that India can offer to Ghana. And as you know, several protocols have been signed, and now it is down to the implementation, which I think both sides are keen on.
All right. Okay. Pathakrit, in terms of India's strategic, advantages that are being sought all around the world in terms of tackling our enemies when it comes to our security and safety, as well as trade. How important are these countries to India?
So what happens, Vineet, is that when you are growing, you have very high requirement of resources as well, and those who are above you will try to create problems for you. So what we are witnessing right now is that in certain aspects there are restrictions being put by China on in terms of exports of rare earth minerals and many other kinds of machineries. Now, these visits are not just for the heck of it. Of course, it is true that African Union has actually got elevated as a member of G20, which is now called G21. But if you ask why these specific countries, there are reasons. For example, if you look at Ghana, and if you look at Argentina, Ghana has one of the largest. It's among the top 10 countries of the world in terms of lithium reserves. Okay, Trinidad and Tobago has hydrocarbon reserves. Argentina has the second largest lithium reserve, and it also has among one of the largest shale gas reserves. Namibia is among the top five countries in terms of uranium reserves. Now, so gradually, it's not that this visit alone will solve all the problems, but if you see the larger spectrum of what India has been trying to do is to reduce its dependency, not entirely, but at least quite a bit from Middle East when it comes to import of oil and gas. So you are spreading the basket of energy imports. Secondly, if you are thinking about transitioning towards electric vehicle and put more focus on that area. You first of all require a large amount of capacity to develop storage technologies. And secondly, you need to know how to process that lithium reserves of your own. And third, you also need to import more lithium. Countries like Argentina have quite a bit of proficiency when it comes to processing of lithium ion into, extracting the lithium from that and then creating those storage facilities. So these visits are specifically for strategic purposes. It does serve the strategic purpose in terms of our critical national mineral requirements, or rather the national critical mineral mission that we all have today. It's part of that. Secondly, of course, BRICS itself is very relevant, not just for the heck of a meeting that is happening, but there are pertinent challenges that the world is facing in terms of the sanctions that are imposed by America and some of the Western countries, because there is an overwhelming dependence on dollar. The multilateral institutions, which we know are completely controlled by West. So BRICS is going for that. I mean, the visit to BRICS summit is primarily for that, to discuss what should be the next step. And of course, there has to be a next step. BRICS cannot be, a one-off get-together every year. It has to have a permanent secretariat. It has to take the next step, which it is not taking. Otherwise, BRICS is going to lose its relevance, because in the middle of a year, if you have a problem and you want to address it to the BRICS, because United Nations doesn't listen to you, then where will you go? There is no permanent secretariat. You have to find out which country is holding the BRICS summit. You have to wait for the summit and then you go there. It doesn't work that way. So that is one thing which many countries, including India, will have to take a solid decision as to what they want to do with BRICS. It cannot be just a summit for chit-chats, with all due respect. Secondly, these countries, when you talk about where they are going, where the Honorable Prime Minister is going, strategic mineral reserve is a very important thing. And you would require a large amount of rare earth minerals. You would require a large amount of lithium ion in the next 10 years. Of course, I think I will not be surprised the next visit by Prime Minister Modi will be in those countries which have large amount of rare earth minerals, apart from lithium ion. So these are strategically important. And of course, the most important aspect is also these, whether you are a Namibia or a United States, you still have one vote in the United Nations. So voting, when it happens in United Nations, that individual votes matter. And these visits play a critical role in terms of ensuring that when you bring important resolutions, you get the votes in your favor. So there are many such aspects, and invariably, last but not the least, Mr. Akash Jindal also mentioned a bit about it. There are many areas where India has performed exceedingly well in terms of application of digital technology for welfare, public welfare capacity development, or telecom revolution, or using technology for direct benefit transfer, and many other things. So I think there are these templates, governance templates, which many of these African countries can embrace from India. I think in India, in certain way, we are far more philanthropic than the Western countries. We do allow these countries to take things from India wherever it is required, because we have gone through that phase. Many of these African countries today are at a stage where we were probably 30 years back. They have their own aspirations. So I think India will play a critical role in taking care of those aspirations, because while it is true, we should not forget, none of these countries are going to give up their relationship with China just because we have started a new mission towards Africa. But the thing is this, many of these countries have burned their fingers because of Belt and Road Initiative and the debt trap they are in. So they are looking for alternates. It is now up to Government of India and the Indian private sector as to whether they can create that alternate or not. Of course, in many areas, whether you talk about two-wheelers or whether you talk about many other gadgets, I think Indian products are very popular in the African countries, because they are tick-out material. They actually survive for a long time, and not that use and throw that typically the Chinese products are. So there are opportunities, there are reasons, but I think right now the most important reason is these strategic minerals, which we would be challenged by countries like China, and they will not give it easily, because they know that in certain ways we are creating the kind of capacity building which will have a problem for them. But I still believe there are enough room for everyone to grow together. It is about the mindset, and you have to face it. Back to you.
And Mr. Jindal, what about the economies in Africa and other countries, including Ghana, considering the fact that when it comes to minerals, when it comes to resources, even when it comes to land and inviting others to invest in African countries, there is a huge possibility, just the way the Middle East, countries like Bahrain and Qatar and UAE and Kuwait are inviting people to invest in their respective countries. What kind of an environment can India help create for these African countries and benefit out of it?
Definitely. See, rare earth minerals, we already know, is one very important area where we need them, where we can work together with them. And China, of course, we can see China, the way they have been behaving in the past 3-4 months, the way they have been making statements, the way they have been responding to US tariffs. And after that, many uneasy moments which China has created for itself, including deflation, which is killing China. But as far as India is concerned, I think it's a very good quality question. Yes, as far as these countries are concerned, there are lots and lots of investments which could be done because these countries have got various advantages which many countries have. See, now here you have surplus land, you have surplus minerals, plus Indians also now they're going out of India and investing in many other countries. So there could be synergies, there could be investment in these countries. Of course, there are certain issues in certain countries of Africa where law and order situation and all other things. Those things we have to take care. Those things we have to consider. But still, I think there's lot potential, and there's lot potential because see, today China is not being liked by many of these countries. China, because what they have been doing is the way they have been exploiting countries, in the name of Belt and Road Initiative, as Patika rightly said, they have been lending at exorbitant rate to these countries, including Pakistan. And then, of course, they have been exploiting these countries. India is still considered a friendly investor. We also have gone out and invested in many countries. And we as well as the country where we have invested, we have mutually benefited. So I think you're very right. There's lot potential for India to invest in because now it's clear that we are the fourth largest economy, and within 2-3 years, we are going to be the third biggest economy. And you are very right, Vineet. In case now, after being third biggest economy, what we have to do is we'll be competing with the Americas and Chinas of the world. Now, when we have to compete with the Americas and Chinas of the world, we can't just stay within India. We have to go outside and invest. We have to have multinationals, the way Americans are having multinationals, which are there in 125 countries, 150 countries. Of course, China has also tried that, but China did that in a wrong sort of way. But India has to expand. India has to expand outside India. So I think these countries, they offer very good opportunities where India can go and invest and they can join hands with India. Plus the advantage of having economical labor, that also we can have there. Plus, of course, technology, Indian technology today, we are manufacturing and exporting to a huge chunk in the world. Defense, we are huge exporters. Mobile, we are huge exporters. Plus, India, otherwise also we are growing number of company registration. India, we are outperforming the world. Otherwise also, on a social parameter, also people used to say earlier that India is not performing. Now, this latest data which tells that after China, on social level also, we are at number 2. So India is growing, India is expanding, and there are lots and lots of investment which could be done in these countries. Of course, each of the countries has its own typicalities, has its own issues. So we have to be very cautious and careful. But yes, I totally agree with you. There's lot scope because Europe today doesn't want to get out of Europe. GDP growth is very less. People are not that sort of active or rather proactive. US, we all know the tariffs issue, the way US is going around. So it's great opportunity for India. I totally endorse what you're saying to go and invest in many of these countries after seeing, of course, every country specifically with its pluses and minuses.
All right. Well, the Prime Minister is currently paying homage at the Nkrumah Memorial in Accra. He is accompanied by the Ghana Vice President. Those are live images coming in of the Prime Minister. All right, roping in Pathikrit Pine once again. Pathikrit, this is a great sight to see. The Prime Minister obviously has become one of those very few leaders who has not only frequented the cause of the Global South, but has actively shown participation in global forums, to uplift them, something that India would have hoped somebody did for them in the 80s and the 90s.
Vineet, you cannot be more right than this. It is absolutely true. India's journey has been far more difficult. Not many countries were there to actually give a helping hand. And whoever came, asked for a negotiation and a bargain. I think compared to that, India has done quite a few things, literally because we believe in the concept of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And I truly believe that in Africa, much like India's generic medicines and automobiles, there are many other areas where there is scope for Indian companies to invest more and have market. In fact, many of these areas, countries, there's a company called Zain Telecom which operates in Africa, which is owned by the Airtel Bharti Group. So there are many areas probably they are doing pretty well. But let me put this in context. One specific issue which Indian companies do face in Africa, and I strongly believe that India-Africa relations should improve. There are many areas of convergence. We should support them. But one problem the Indian companies or companies across the world actually face in Africa is the issue of sanctity of contracts. What happens is that institutions are not strong over there. So one government is there, you sign contracts, you invest money, suddenly there's a military coup or something happens and another government comes in. And then it is said that all the previous contracts with government and the other companies are cancelled. And that creates a lot of problems because if then you have to go for litigations and there are law and order issues, those have to be understood. One of the aspects that global South countries, including those in Africa, in which India Prime Minister is visiting, they must understand from India or the Indian experience is that we invested heavily in creating institutions. Those institutions are so strong that irrespective of whichever political dispensation comes to power, the institutions remain rock solid. You have a Supreme Court which is rock solid. So that edifice has to be created by these global South economies by taking the test case of India itself. Otherwise, it is so very difficult for a company to invest $1 billion and then to see a military coup and all your investment going down the drain. Suddenly, everything gets nationalized. That should not happen. Even if you nationalize partially, you should compensate the company which has initially had invested. That is one area where a lot more transparency, a lot more strengthening of institutions, a lot more accountability, and a far better judicial system is expected from the global South economies. And then only they can take that quantum leap that India has taken from the verge of being a bankrupt economy in 1991 to becoming the fourth largest economy by 2025. So those things have to be done by them. It cannot be just largest or largest by India that it will help them to develop. They must understand the journey, the difficult journey India went through, what India did, and then only India can help. Back to you.
All right, Prime Minister Modi is, of course, in Ghana at this point in time, and we are discussing, and these are live visuals that you're seeing on your screens as well of the Prime Minister interacting with officials, from Ghana. He's been taken around. He was at a museum earlier on, and of course, the Prime Minister meeting different dignitaries in the country of Ghana. And of course, he becomes someone who's visited the country of Ghana after a long time from an Indian perspective. Gautam, the same question for you as well in terms of India standing up for its African brothers and sisters. How touching a moment is this? Gautam?
Yeah, my view is that,
Gautam, are you there with us? All right. Mr. Jindal, in terms of India's opening economy and India's defense sector also becoming a net exporter now, how do you look at this outreach by the Prime Minister? And of course, we want these friends to benefit from India's growing defense sector as well. And of course, the tech sector is something which is already present abundantly in Africa.
Of course, all these countries have a lot to benefit from India. See, India has always been a friendly country, and in business also we have been very friendly. We are totally unlike what China does. We have been friendly, and we have benefited in many countries. So now our products are being known for their quality. India is exporting automobiles today. India is exporting defense today. India is exporting mobiles today, and India is out to export many other things which are in our manufacturing pipeline. So now India is considered a good quality product exporter. And in manufacturing, we are taking bigger strides now. Now, of course, these countries can benefit a lot from India because the partnership with India, they can gain. See, earlier also we have seen, if I'll take you back 20 years ago, Middle East also when it partners with India in many things, there was lot infrastructure was created by Indian companies in Middle East. Now, till now, Middle East is taking advantage of that. So global South and countries like Ghana, they can take a lot of advantage from India. Infrastructure building is one key area which they can enter deal with India, and India can do a lot as far as the infrastructure building is concerned because in India we have viable manpower, which is qualified, talented manpower at viable prices, which can build great infrastructure because these countries, of course, there are issues in these countries, but one thing these countries are more, these countries also need quite a lot is infrastructure. These countries need infrastructure development also. So I think what Prime Minister has done is he has made a beginning. Going ahead, we can have infrastructure deals with these countries where Indian companies can go and create infrastructure there because in case these countries want investment, they want to do global business or they want to be big manufacturers, then they need quality infrastructure also to do good quality global business. So that is where India can help them a lot because we have created infrastructure in lots of countries. Now we are building, of course, infrastructure, global infrastructure also. So I think there is where India can help them and we can take benefit from them. Plus, we can help them a lot.
All right, Gautam is also back with us. Gautam, we lost you there in the middle. India's growing economy is protectionist in a way, but when it comes to being altruistic and helping our African brothers and sisters, how do you think the Prime Minister is going to plan this bilateral relationship with the African Union and countries like Ghana?
Well, I think it's going to be a very gradual but steady improvement with a number of countries. Congo, for example, wants to buy military equipment from us at BRICS. Brazil, not in Africa, but wants to buy military equipment from us. Ghana will have certain requirements of its own. It is important for us to be very different from China. We should not be exploitative. At the same time, we should go about it in a way that there is mutual benefit to both. I don't think the Africans are at all in any illusion about their natural resources and the need to get the best price for them rather than have them rifled Chinese fashion. So I think India can make a difference by not being greedy, but being steady and supportive. As we grow, they will grow. As we grow, we will be able to offer more and more avenues for their growth. I think that's how it's going to happen.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We've run out of time. On that note, we're dipping into a short break. Be right back.